One, two, three, four. Yeah, I think we live. We live? What up, y'all? Babylon 5 podcast. It's your boy Jermaine Event. I figured I could just continue to record. I could just continue to live stream the recording of the episodes. And they could be interactive. I could, toward the end, if you guys comment, respond to that. But other words, a nigga would like to get his shit off. You know what I'm saying? Like to get my shit off. I don't know if I'm live. Let me see. Oh, I think I'm live. Oh, I'm live. Yeah, I think we're live. Why did it say 50 minutes? I don't know. No, it's only been live for a few seconds. Yeah, here we go. Babylon 5 podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. So I figured I would just, going forward in the future, just to have video of me doing this. I'll probably eventually upload these to YouTube, or maybe eventually just stream from YouTube and then post the YouTube stream to Facebook, going forward. But I figured I would just get into the streaming and the video along with the audio to go along with it. Even though it is just me staring at you guys here in the screen, I personally like quite a few podcasts that way. So maybe you too would be into something like that. I was going to just like wait around a bit, give people who accidentally click on this stream to, get out of here. Just get out of here before before it's too late. Nobody's here right now. It hasn't happened yet. I think I'm streaming as the Babylon 5 podcast. You can probably hear my wife laughing in the background there. She's playing a game of Cards Against Humanity with her friends. They're doing a Zoom meeting, playing Cards Against Humanity. And they're having a gay old time. So, yeah, you can hear her throughout this episode, I would imagine. Yeah. What up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? My week's been okay. I always said if I rap, I say something significant, but now I'm rapping about money, hoes, and rims again. I try to be as blunt with you niggas because, this is podcast world. Because, in hip-hop world, in hip-hop world, niggas gotta have these personas and they gotta be cool all the time. You can't be no regular ass nigga. Like, as a rapper, I had to not pretend that I didn't work at a grocery store, but you don't really back when I was just like a grocery store clerk. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You act like that shit ain't cool. But now as just like a regular ass nigga doing a podcast who be rapping sometimes, doing stand-up sometimes, I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. And I used to think back in the day, I would be like, man, when I become a manager, if I ever like have to do that shit, niggas thought they was gonna blow up, be on tour already. You know what I'm saying? And if I have to if I had to eventually be a manager somewhere, unfortunately, if it ever came down to that, I was like, I'd always be the kind of manager who like buys lunch for everybody, just like that cool ass manager. And it turns out I'm not that guy. I'm just not that guy. I'm kind of unapproachable. That's the kind of manager I am. That's just how it is. How you people doing? Pandemic 2020. Quarantine. I'd only quarantine with you. What's up, people? How are you doing? How are you feeling? We're going to get into some topics. Right here. I don't know. Now I'm playing to this. There's no audience here. If there was audience here, I'd probably get choked up. But I'm just getting my shit up. How you guys doing? I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the social medias before we get into these topics. If you guys want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, it's at My Name's Jermaine. If you want to email the podcast, the email address is babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, nigga, anywhere podcast stream. So I'm trying to tell you niggas, you can listen to it. Pretty soon I'll put these videos on YouTube. You niggas could be watching it right now. I mean, nobody's watching it right now, but you could be watching it right now. If you was a real nigga about it, you could be watching right now, but you ain't a real nigga about it. So, I mean, well, currently, you could be a real nigga in a second, and then you get the lag, and you hear that, and you're like, oh shit, and I'm sorry. Also, if you niggas is on Xbox One, if you want to play some games with me, my gamer tag is SaucedBoss414. If you guys want to check out some merch, you can go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. If you guys want to watch me play some games, I've been just playing some Skyrim. I want to just create a character. Maybe I'll create a character about my height, maybe my exact height, my own likeness. And what I would imagine, if I were a fighter, if I were training consistently every day and eating right, I would be able to get my weight down to like 145. You know what I'm saying? So I want to create a character at 145 pounds and just like play through it live. I might do that later. And it's like, I could lose every fight and get retired in there pretty quick. And I don't care. We're just going to, because, you know, back in the day, I used to hate doing just submissions. If it went on the ground with the wrong nigga, I just restart the fight. Pause. And, but then, like, I just focused on, like, submissions in that game. And now it's to the point, I've said this before, it's to the point where I can't really do the stand-up. If I try to do stand-up in UFC, I'll gas myself out. If you ask that nigga Landon, he'll tell you that I've always been terrible on the feet, but he's just like got perfect timing on the feet. This nigga's Landon Bullock McSwain has perfect fucking timing in UFC. Shit's crazy, my nigga. It's fucking crazy. The way he I can't even like I'll come and try to catch him and I'll try to like do these feints to get him to come at me, but he still like perfectly cracks me as I'm coming in. He times it perfectly, so I have to just take him to the ground and just beat him up on the ground, because nobody other than D-Mark was really good on the ground. And then that's when I was like, I gotta step these submissions up. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it is. You know, what I'm saying is probably later today, I'm gonna Twitch UFC career. I'm not even gonna train myself on the striking. I'm just I'll probably watch a YouTube tutorial on just tips on striking with the timing and just to not gas yourself out. Because just with the combination wise, if I can get that down and I got the submission down pretty solid, I'm pretty confident that I could make it to a title fight. I don't necessarily want to go to a title fight. I hate how it just like you win the title and then you got to work to unify and move up to the next weight class. And then that's just basically it. You could just have a few more fights after that. And then that part of it is pretty whack. I wish you had a little more control over your career. That's what UFC should try to do before next time. I could maybe move down, move up. But you don't get to keep the first belt. You give up the first belt, and you're just fighting in the higher weight class. Unless you were a heavyweight, then you move down to light heavyweight. Anywho. Yeah, so if you can follow me on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Babylon5, as it should be. As it should be. I'm drinking this Arnold Palmer spiked. Pretty smooth, pretty tasty. That'll be my drink of the summer. I mean, it's not the summer, I don't think. Is it? Is April summer? I don't know how that stuff works. I've always been social distancing, you know? What day is it anyway? I've always been social distancing, ladies and gentlemen. So none of this is new to me. None of this is new to me. Hey, how you doing? It's Jermaine. I'm over here watching some UFC like I always do on Saturday. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed except the numbers on the statement. You feel me? I wonder, is the stream cutting out like it is when I'm seeing it? Let me try to put it on my phone because this is pretty interesting. Why did it say 51 minutes? So none of this is new. Why does this say 51 minutes? Has this shit been streaming for 51 minutes? Because then, what has it been streaming for 51 minutes? What have I been doing? What have I been? Nah, I don't know. Because right here it says 10 minutes. It says I've been streaming for 10 minutes. But up there it says I've been live for the past hour. Is what that says up there. That's pretty weird. If you guys were following me, if you're friends with me on Facebook, Jermaine, the person, and if you follow the Babylon 5 Instagram page and or Twitter, you would have seen earlier this week, my wife and I adopted a Pitbull. All right? Adopted a 4-year-old Pitbull. And I'm not here in any way to bash Pitbulls. That's number one here. That's what the fuck is not gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen. We're not here to bash Pitbulls. So we adopted a Pitbull, Autumn. 4-year-old Pitbull, Autumn. Unfortunately, we had to take her back to the Humane Society. Well, she was just too big. The building that we live in, doesn't allow for dogs as big as she is. I think the limit in my building is 50 pounds. She was about 60. And you know, you gotta get them nigger dogs out of here. You can't be in here with a black ass dog like that. You get that minority ass dog out of here. So they don't allow that breed. You know, we were trying to get if you've been listening to the podcast these whole times, you knew that we were trying to get a bull terrier. It was like a puppy bull terrier. And they said they don't allow that breed here. So we got a pit bull. And I'll be frank with you guys, right? I was honestly terrified of this pit bull. But it's just because she's, like, when I first saw her, she was gigantic. And she was gigantic. But I got close to her, and she just gently, like, rubbed up against my face and, like, licked the side of my face and was just, like, the most gentle animal you'll ever meet. You know what I'm saying? I'm in no way here to bash pit bulls. Autumn was one of the most gentle dogs I had ever come in contact with. Most pit bulls I've ever met have been that way. Though she had clear evidence of a rough life, rough past. She had her ears clipped off, which I was told was so that other dogs couldn't bite a hold of her ears while she's dogfighting. And from what I was told by the look of her nipples, she was probably used to just, like, breed for quite a bit also. So probably fought her, bred her out, dropped her off somewhere. That's what I'm imagining. She would be a very gentle dog, but she unfortunately had pretty severe PTSD, pretty severe abandonment issues. So the Humane Society, and I think Kenosha, described that she gets excited around other dogs. That's how it was described to us. Excited around other dogs. That was unfortunately an understatement. She saw another dog, like she's in the car, and she saw another dog, and that really set her off. but she wasn't close to it. So it was just like a little barking, a little hyper. It's like whatever, dogs do that. But then as we're coming upstairs to the apartment, and it's this little small stairway, it's like back stairway that leads directly to our door. Uh, we just like coming around the corner was a guy and his dog, and it almost got pretty ugly. She was just trying to go after that other dog, and the other dog and the owner were just fucking kind of cowering off to the side. I mean, it was pretty insane. I had to like she had her harness, so I was able to like get her off the ground pretty much and like get her out of the room. And thankfully, she didn't like attack me or my wife at all. She's extremely gentle to humans, you know, and it's just if she saw another dog, it would set her off. It was fucking on, you know, it was fucking on. And when I was in the car, I was like, I vibe with that energy, you know, Autumn, I vibe with that energy. It's some motherfuckers out there that I had an issue with 20 years ago. When I was 10 years old, I had issues with these people. There's people. So when I was fucking 3 years old, there'd be this kid. I don't remember his name. I knew he was a light skinned kid. I think his name was Marcus. And he would come and take my toys. I hold grudges. I was 3 years old. And he would come and take my toys. And I remember my dad said to me, like, you should never, ever be afraid of another man. He just, like, randomly said that to me. I never told anybody that this kid was taking my toys. But he just, like, said that to me one day. And the next time this kid came up to me, pretty sure his name was Marcus. I was like, he wanted these, like, wooden blocks I was playing with. He was like, give me that. And I was like, get away from me or I'm going to hit you with this. And then that kid cried, ran off, ran to the teacher. And then I got put in timeout for threatening the other kid. But, and then I got switched to another classroom. You know what I'm saying? But, if I ever seen that motherfucker, all right, I don't care. It's been 27 years. If I seen that motherfucker, it's fucking on. What was all that bullshit about, bruh? What was all that bullshit about? So when Autumn got hype, I was like, I feel that energy because I'm a petty ass nigga like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a sassy ass nigga just like that, Autumn. Fuck with a young nigga. I'm glad I could share that story with you. I've held that grudge my entire life. Do you hear me? I've held that grudge my entire life. It's probably one of my oldest memories. And I hold it close to my heart. All right? That is legit one of my oldest memories. Is being in that daycare class. I hadn't even been to Clement Avenue School yet, which was the first K4 that I went to. This was before Clement Avenue. And yeah, that kid he would come up to me and say, give me that. Maybe I was like randomly a little more developed than he was, and all he knew was give me, and I threatened him, and it threw him off. I don't know. But if I see that nigga. So I felt like I understood. But, so then the next day, like she had that moment, well no, before the next day, she had that moment, she flipped out. So let's rewind before that. She's not really eating her food because, you know, it's new food, new place. You know, we understand that. She's not really eating her food. She's got to get comfortable from what we're understanding, what is true, before she really starts to eat and do the things like normal activities. But after this interaction with this other dog in the hallway where she almost took a chunk out of this other dog there, she ate all the food in her bowl, drank all the water. She like laid down, was like, no, and then she like came in the room and like laid on her back and like had this huge smile on her face. She was completely comfortable in that moment, which was alarming. And so then the next day, like, I'm just like getting ready for work, like as I normally do. And those abandonment issues come up, and she starts to fucking, well, she tried to fucking bite off and rip off her harness, and she's pretty strong. So we're just like, let's just take the harness off of her. But as it's coming off of her, she bites onto it and it's just like holding onto it. And my wife was trying to grab it at first, and I was like, no, 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 no. Like, let's just like let her have it, because at that point we had already like knew that it wasn't gonna work in our with our building, with this with how many other dogs were around and how set off she gets just by like seeing or even hearing another dog. Like, this isn't the building for her, since pretty much everybody here has a dog. So yeah, this isn't the building. She just gets wound up pretty easily. So we pretty much knew that. And as she sees, and she starts to hold on to the harness, and I'm just like, yo, just let her have it. And she like just sits down with it, and we go to the door, and at this point she fucking darts to the couch and like, still holding the harness, bites onto like pillows, and like my wife has this like fur like sheet thing on the couch, and she like grabs all this in one fell swoop and just like starts fucking going back and forth, just wrecking shit. Because with this harness, there's just like metal attachments all over that thing, like little hooks and things all over, and she just fucking swinging this thing, just running, going all over the place. And yeah, she had to get out of there. But it was just the abandonment issues. She knew we were leaving, and that really fucked with her. And yeah, so we had to get her out of there with the abandonment issues, and with her issues around other dogs, with everybody having much smaller dogs. Well, there is one other pit bull here, actually. There's a guy with a pit bull, and his pit bull is probably twice the size as Autumn was. But if that interaction ever happened, I feel like someone would have probably called the police if that ever happened with his pit bull. Because I don't believe the guy who owns that pit bull could control that gigantic animal if it decided to do anything. To be honest, y'all, I was on edge. When that dog was here, I couldn't get a good night's sleep because I kept waking up and like just looking over at it to make sure like it wasn't about to murder me. It was a giant dog. It had a huge head. It could have fit my whole neck in its mouth, and I knew if it wanted to. Well, if it just like when it snapped and was going after those dogs, I was like, at any second right now, it could just fucking leap up at me, and I wouldn't be. I don't know if my reflexes would be there to stop it from getting one good fucking chunk out of me, bleed to death right there. I was pretty terrified of this dog. It was just too big, and it had gone through too much before we got it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we could in the future find the right breed for us. It's unfortunate it didn't work out, because I still feel like she was a pretty great dog. My wife says, had I been there for the last 30 minutes that she was in our house, because apparently my wife was getting ready to take her back to the Humane Society, and as she sees my wife getting ready and she assumes my wife is leaving, she fucking flipped out, ran to her bed, fucking bit into that, ripped it to shreds instantly, ripped the bed to shreds, just ran in the living room, started knocking hella shit over, running all over the apartment, just wrecking the house, literally. And my wife said she had to like hide in the bathroom until Autumn calmed down, and then there was Autumn just being cute again. As she is. She just has those moments where she snaps, then she's back to being the most loving dog. So I hope she could find like a proper home. Like I say, like a home with no other dogs and like a huge yard where she can run around and do some things. Because we would try to take her for walks for the short time that we had her, but with her response to seeing other dogs, like I tried to go out like 6 o'clock in the morning with her, which was all right until there was another, she could hear another dog when we were in the stairway, and that set her off. So it's just like, but other than that, she's just being sweet. And then if she sees us leaving, flips out. So it was just unfortunate, you know? It was just rather unfortunate. It's just what had to happen. And she said, had I been there for that, I would have really changed my opinion of it. But tis what it is. Hope Autumn finds her forever home. Unfortunately, wasn't with us. I was hoping she could be right there in the background. We could have Autumn just chilling in the live stream, but it just didn't happen. You know, just didn't happen. Yeah, I just didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go to work that day, but I did. I did want to mention that she randomly she'd wag her tail quite vigorously as I'd sing Wonderland to her. I would sing Wonderland, the John Mayer song. I mean, to be frank, I would sing the words "Your body is a wonderland" in an impression of John Mayer, but just that phrase repeatedly, because I don't listen to John Mayer. I don't listen to John Mayer, but I've heard that song like at grocery stores over my lifetime, and so I could. Your body is a wonderland. Your body is a wonderland. And I just kept doing that, and she really vibed to that. So she's a special girl, I'll tell you that much. Special girl. I didn't even get a chance to hit her with some DMB. If I threw some DMB in there, that fucking girl would have loved me. And she did love me, you know? She did love me. And she would have been all about some DMB. But unfortunately, it never got that far. I hope you guys like my gi. I'm wearing my gi here. I'm like full giing it out. Oh, shit. Full giing it out. Yeah, full giing it out. And so yeah, I ended the live stream. So I wanted to say here that we are the episode today is expendable workers, and not that we are essential. I don't necessarily see us as the essential workers, what was it? Donald Trump was saying how, some people are going to have to die. There's going to have to be some casualties in order for us to find a cure. And that's who the essential workers are. We're the expendable workers. I had to I ended the live stream sorry, I'm sounding awkward here. But I ended the live stream there because I was like, "Oh, I'm wearing full gi, and I'm wearing my full gi. I haven't worn it in quite some bit, but I was like, fuck, I should have showed it off right away when I started." And I was like, "Oh, let me show the gi." And I don't know how to tie my which, like, I don't know how to tie the belt, which is okay when I roll, when I roll it's okay because everybody's belt usually falls off as they're rolling. So I tie it the best that I can. But just as I stood up there, I stopped going to the gi classes like first because I'm sweating pretty bad in this shit right now. And now that the fucking live stream is let me take this shit off. But yeah, no, so I stood up and all my clothes fell off. I was like, fuck. Luckily, there was nobody on the live stream. I didn't see any. I didn't see anybody. I mean, I got underwear on, but but my clothes fell off, and luckily, I just like ended the stream abruptly, and like Facebook was like, should we delete that, my nigga? And I was like, fuck yeah, just go ahead and get that up out of there, because I was naked. I was naked on the stream. I wasn't like fully naked, but like, you know, my clothes was coming off, ladies and gentlemen. My clothes was coming off. I'm gonna just end that stream. We gonna finish this episode though. This is episode 34, Babylon 5 Podcast. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? I got that little random ass moment there. I'm gonna just give y'all another update of what I'm doing. I'm watching UFC 244. And the first fight, well, I'm watching the main card. And the first fight of the main card is Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie. And I wanted to say that Kevin Lee was getting pieced up in that fight. And it's crazy what hindsight does to you. After that fight, they would cracking a little tea. After that fight, they would show the highlight, you know, because the end result of the fight is Kevin Lee wins by first round knockout via head kick. That is how the fight ended. And they show that clip, and you're like, oh shit, he set that up perfectly. That's a beastie ass fucking kick. And I remember like the first time I watched it, when I watched it live, I remember thinking like, it's a first round fight, like, why does Kevin Lee look so fucking touched up? You know? He won by, like, first round knockout, but his face was pretty busted up at the end of that fight. I was like, dude, he looks pretty fucked up. So I'm watching the fight again, knowing how pieced the fuck up I saw him look against Charles Oliveira. And he's getting pieced up. He's getting hit at will by Gregor Gillespie. Gregor Gillespie is piecing him up. The only difference was that I think Kevin Lee was like, had more volume. Kevin Lee simply had more volume there. But Gregor Gillespie was piecing him up. He pretty much, I didn't look at the stats, but I'm like, I don't think he missed too many of those punches there. Kevin Lee had no head movement, and I kept hearing someone scream, head movement! Like it was fucking Edmund from Ronda Rousey. Because he was just getting pieced up. They were both trading. I say neither one of them had too much head movement. But if people actually like talked about that fight the way it really happened, with how easily Gregor Gillespie was touching Kevin Lee, he could have easily knocked out Kevin Lee in the first round. Had he like maybe stepped on the gas a little bit, because he was landing everything. I think Kevin Lee looked pretty bad, but at the end of the day, it says Kevin Lee won by first round knockout. And then they show you that highlight head kick, and it's like, oh shit, Kevin Lee's back. But he was getting pieced up that whole time. No defense, no head movement. It's like Valentina with Shevchenko said, like, that's not true martial arts. You know? The true martial arts is to hit and not get hit back. That's why Floyd Mayweather is a true martial artist. He mastered boxing. Valentina Shevchenko is a true martial artist. That's not martial arts right there. You know? Kevin Lee was just willing to take these shots because he's confident in himself, but he's not he's not slipping any punches. There's no defense there. So I think they need to really assess that whole thing, his defense. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of people. I talked about like Macy Barber, but I was like peeping that out, like, man, Kevin Lee, like the way they talk about this fight and how great he looked against Gregor, they talk that he's back. He looked amazing against Gregor Gillespie, and that's only because he won the fight. But as I watch it back, objectively, I guess, I mean, I got my hindsight that he lost the following fight. But I see that he got pieced up in that fight. Got pieced up pretty badly. I don't know if you guys ever seen the show Dave. It's about starring the rapper Lil Dicky. It's about Lil Dicky. I never got into the rapper Lil Dicky. I think it's fucking dope. It's on FX. If you got Hulu, then it's on Hulu. And I was a sneeze, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if that makes any difference to quell your worries there. But my wife was saying, like, because we were watching the episode, this past episode, it's like episode 7. She's like, man, it's like the white Atlanta. And I'm like, that's fucking spot on. If you've seen Atlanta with Donald Glover, I was like, it's spot on. Like, this is spot on the white Atlanta. And what's funny is, like, the one thing I was saying to her was, like, because if you know Odd Future, Tyler, the Creator's friend, like his best friend Taco, he plays a character in the show who is Lil Dicky's engineer. And my thing was like, yo, they can't ever play Tyler, the Creator, because he's Taco. And then, like, if he's not Taco in this universe, how does Tyler, the Creator, exist? And he exists as a person who is not Tyler's best friend. But then at some point in this last episode, they were doing a silent disco, and he played Tyler, the Creator, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, just as I said it, he played Tyler, the Creator, like 15 minutes later. And I was like, I guess Tyler does exist in this universe. It's fucking hilarious, all right? Lil Dicky, I never got into him before, but he's got songs. He was like, what's that shit? What is it? I ate her ass, she came, I gasped, I went right back. That shit, dude, Lil Dicky's he's fucking dope, all right? I didn't realize that his stage name, he's just too smart for me, you know? He's just a lot smarter than me is how I assessed it. That's where I came down to it. Because he's like, his name is Lil Dicky because it's the opposite of what a braggadocious. Like, if you're a rapper, like as I was saying earlier, like, even though I just shut off the stream because all my clothes fell off. And like, you're supposed to be this braggadocious rapper, you know what I'm saying? So the last thing you would want to associate with yourself in this masculine genre is to have a small penis. So his name is Lil Dicky, just as a satire. Well, I don't know if he's necessarily a satirical rapper because he does this he spits this verse in the first episode where I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that he was a real rapper. And then in the second episode, he had a interaction with this black dude. Was like, oh shit, I didn't know you were a real rapper. And it's like, yeah, dude, like, that's probably how most people felt, like most of the black community. If you watch that first episode, you're like, holy shit, he's legit about this. I knew he had that, like, my brother liked that song, Freaky Friday or something. I think he had a song with Chris Brown. I know my brother was into that, but I just never got into Lil Dicky. Damn, I don't know. I'm just gonna play it because I don't know. I never did it. Let me see how I feel about this. Can't just play it off of my phone. Yeah. Tell him. Tell him. Yeah. Tell him. Yo. Swag. Yo. Yo, Lil Dicky cold. Alright. She came, I gasped, is what. I thought the song was called I Ate Her Ass. Maybe it is called I Ate Her Ass. Or maybe it's called She Came, I Gasped. But that song's fire. And you niggas need to get on some Lil Dicky. Pause. Check out the show Dave. It's about Dave. He's got this character Gator, who's, I guess, apparently his real life hype man. Jesus Christ. So he's He's just got characters on here. He's got Taco from Odd Future. He's got Gator, who's his real life hype man, who's hilarious. All right, he gets super hyper. He's got this song on there. I think it's either the second or third episode where he's performing at a wake for some kid that died, and he wrote a song custom. All right, here we go. Maybe he's a piece of soil or a molecule. Reincarnation, some things would be cooler than other things. What would John wanna be? He be me, I think. Tell him. Is he in me now? Kinda feel like that he might be, but it might be Jermaine Babbles could do this too. I'll do this for y'all. Let me know. This is challenging, but I think John would want me to be me because he lies. I'll write y'all custom wake songs. Jermaine event. Yeah. This shit's so swagged out. Yeah. Tell him. Tell him. That shit's fire. John's gone. If you niggas like follow me on Snapchat, or not Snapchat, don't follow me on Snapchat. I mean, if you could find me on Snapchat, but I don't use that. Follow me on Instagram. If you see my Instagram story, you would have seen me singing John's gone, because that's that shit right there, and it's fire. All right, John's gone. I'm just here to tell you niggas, watch Dave. All right, it's the White Atlanta, and you know he's got real rappers on there. He had YG, the dude Trippie Redd, I think was the guy. I think that's who that guy is. I'm not sure. I don't really listen to that kind of stuff, but I think that's who that guy was. But I know who YG is, and yeah, they had a homeboy. OT Genesis. OT Genesis was on there. They got some hood ass rappers on there. Go check out Dave. If you got Hulu, go check out Dave. If you don't, go get Hulu. You can probably get a free trial. If you don't have Hulu, go get it. You know what I'm saying? I want to say to you niggas, if you did not support Andrew Yang, if you thought his ideas weren't suited for 2020, but more so for 2030, don't touch your $1,200 stimulus check. Don't touch it. You know? That's just a Band-Aid. That's not going to do anything for the problem. That's not going to fix any problems. Don't touch that money. Give it back. Tell them, hey, we don't want this Band-Aid. We want real solutions. Why are you guys trying to give us universal basic income? Tell them that. Why aren't more people saying, no, I don't want this shit? That's why we didn't support Andrew Yang. All right? If we wanted this fucking Band-Aid, I would have voted for Andrew Yang. So you don't want it, all right? You don't want universal basic income. You don't think it's something to help the American people. So just go ahead, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Don't give it to me, actually. I'll take it. I supported Andrew Yang. You see me, if you see the cover for my song Pandemic, I'm wearing my math hat. I'm wearing my math hat right now. If you see my live streams, I've had my math hats in all the live streams. So, yeah. I'm not saying, like, if you didn't support him, like, I'm not one of them niggas that's saying if you don't vote, you can't complain about it. I'm not one of them niggas. I just feel like, yeah, if you don't vote, you can't complain about it. I don't agree with that whole narrative. That's a nice slogan, all right? It's a nice slogan, but it's not factual. It's not based in reality. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a nice saying, all right? Just a nice slogan. But what I'm saying is that you should be vocally against this idea that was brought to you fucking just months ago. You had the option to get this Band-Aid, to get this thing. He said right now it's happening. Crisis is coming, and this is something that's going to help the American people. And they were like, yo, he's crazy. That shit's not going to work. You're just going to give people money. Now people are like, where are these checks? I can't pay my rent. Where are these checks? Well, the checks could be on their way to becoming monthly had you guys got behind Andrew Yang. I've seen this other guy running for Congress, fucking campaigning on universal basic income. Where were you motherfuckers when Yang was on the ticket? Where were you motherfuckers when Andrew Yang was on the ticket? First sign of trouble, they call my nigga Yang. I've said it here before and I'll say it again. Niggas should have been there. Make America think harder, my nigga. Make America think harder. You know, Wisconsin held a primary the other day. There's articles everywhere saying how it was like Wisconsin is where democracy goes to die. I saw an article saying how like Republicans saw how the coronavirus was mainly impacting the black community in Wisconsin, so they decided to go ahead with the primaries. There was limited places where people could vote, so I saw that there was like lines, like maybe like a couple miles long. It'd be like people waiting in line. People were bringing. It was hailing that day, like raining, hailing. It was crazy weather that day for whatever reason. Tony Evers tried to postpone it, and then they were like, nope, it's happening. Then Bernie Sanders decided to suspend his campaign, not drop out. Some people were upset. I saw some people upset. They were like, doesn't he know what we did for him yesterday? And it's like, yo, he just suspended it. He's not out of the race. He's still there. You can still vote Bernie Sanders. The only difference is Bernie, in the face of crisis, is averting his attention to the crisis and not just simply winning this presidential race. There's a crisis. People are dying. People are in trouble, and he's focused on helping people. So that's what's happening here. He's decided to pay the medical bills for his entire staff for the entire period of this pandemic. This is the person that's currently on the ticket that we should be supporting, we should be voting for, is Bernie Sanders. If we see how they act when crisis hits, this right here is the moments. Watch this guy. Pretty much, Biden was saying he feels like the healthcare system is fine the way it is, just to stay the same. He said all the wrong things, and if you guys support that still, I mean, do your thing. Do your fucking thing. But I think it's all about Bernie Sanders. And my concern here is that even with him doing these things, going out here and fighting, my main concern with this and society in general is that many Americans still don't believe that this is something to worry about. They don't believe it's something to take seriously. I've seen people post nonsense about not believing media and people need to think for themselves. And they're under the impression that it's simply taking their liberties away. All right? They're under the impression that there is no virus and that the American government is simply out to take their liberties away. All right? Number one here, when I'm responding to that, number one, your liberties are whatever the people in control currently say they are. See the current quarantine, for example. All right? That's number one. Your liberties are whatever the people currently in control say they are. All right? Number two, you idiots really think sports, billion-dollar industries are shut down worldwide. Worldwide. All right? They're shut down worldwide so that the American government can take away your liberties. Fucking say that out loud, all right? Billion-dollar industries are shut down worldwide so that the American government can take away your liberties. You fucking idiots. Number three here. Wake the fuck up and stay home. All right? That's number three. Wake the fuck up and stay home. This isn't a personal attack, all right? This is not a personal attack. The government isn't trying to personally take your liberties away. It's a global pandemic. Just fucking wake up. You fucking morons. Number 4, have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates? Fucking morons. Fucking morons. I just don't know. It just makes me sick. I had this whole, most of this episode was going to be just me talking about UFC. A lot went down since the last time we spoke, ladies and gentlemen. So it was like UFC is happening. Khabib's not fighting. Then they announced that Tony Ferguson was fighting Justin Gaethje. They announced the card. Greg Hardy was fighting, essentially in the co-main event, because before they canceled the card, which I'm getting to, Rose Namajunas dropped out of the fight. So her fight, which was going to be the co-main event, was probably going to be taken off the card. And then Greg Hardy would be put in the co-main event for that card, which I thought would be pretty dope, because however you feel about Greg Hardy, I think he's a great fighter. I think he's progressing very fucking nicely. And that would have been hype. But when you realize that fucking Disney shut down the UFC, Dana White's like, I don't care. They bought a fucking island, right? He announced they bought an island, but he didn't announce the location of UFC 249. And then it kind of leaked that the fight was most likely going to happen at a casino in California. And the governor of California called Disney, who owns ESPN, who is a partner with UFC, and told Disney that about its concerns with the UFC putting on this sporting event in the middle of a pandemic, and Disney shut down the event. When you realize that Disney currently fucking profits off of the most violent sport in the world. You got Aladdin on one hand and fucking Jorge Masvidal fucking knocking out Ben Askren cold. And it all goes to Disney. All of that money. Mickey Mouse. Isn't that crazy? I didn't even think about that before. Disney steps in, postpones UFC 249. Now, I say postponed because Dana White says they bought an island, all right? They bought a fucking island. They're building an infrastructure, and no, they can't have the fight in California in 2 weeks, but fights will, he said in 3 weeks, they're going to have the infrastructure ready to go, and fights will take place in a matter of weeks, bruh. Fight Island's coming. It's fucking Mortal Kombat. I wrote this whole thing, my hat's off to fucking Dana, and it's still the fact that they bought this island. He was fucking set out. These fights are going to happen, and unfortunately, they're getting postponed. I wanted to bet against them. I couldn't find anything on any website to make a bet against that, because I was like, I guarantee it won't happen. Khabib got out of the fight. All these things kept happening, and then boom, everything was postponed. So that's how I predicted it was going to happen. I'm kind of happy it happened, but I still, wanted to see some cool live fights. I just watched Stephen Thompson versus Vicente Luque. As Thompson beat the shit out of him. It's a pretty good fight. So I want to see some fights. Guilty pleasure. Guilty. I wanted to see some fights. I love UFC. I love MMA. I love Bellator. I watch MMA. I love MMA. I had to say all that because I said I love UFC, and I feel some type of way about that. I like MMA. All right? I like MMA. I love MMA, and I like UFC. They bought an island, so in a few weeks, hopefully we can get some new fights set, since they're all so set out to do it. I've seen a lot of fighters calling for the UFC and Reebok to just pay the fighters during this time. I'd say no, because they're all independent contractors, actually. If you sign a contract for a certain number of fights within the UFC, you're not allowed to wear brands outside of that Reebok gear, because they have a partnership with the company you signed a contract with as an independent contractor. So I don't see any reason why the UFC or anybody would pay fighters to simply do that. Why don't you fucking just do daily live workouts and put your Venmo up there if you want to make some money. I think that's the way to go about it. but that's just personal. I don't think Reebok or UFC is in debt or like they owe the fighters anything here because they're all independent contractors. And if that's an issue, then fucking get a union, do something. You guys, that's another issue that Andrew Yang was fighting for. Actually, if you guys looked at his policy, it was fucking fair MMA pay. He was trying to like actually set up a union for MMA fighters to even out the pay scale, because I'm telling you, it looks glamorous, but they walk home with maybe $5,000, most likely less than that if they win. If they lose, maybe $2,000, and then they can't. They've trained for like 3 months so that they could fight and lose possibly and go home with $2,000 after everybody else gets paid, and then they have to like possibly wait like another 2-3 months before they could possibly fight again and hopefully win to come home with like $5,000 after it's all said and done. So Andrew Yang was campaigning on fighting for MMA fighter rights, but all people heard was universal basic income, and they all said it was a crazy idea until it sounded like a great idea a few months later. Funny how that happens. It's funny how that happens. I want to see it. I want Dana White to buy. They have the island. They said they're building the infrastructure. I hope some fights happen in a few weeks. That'd be fucking fantastic if it happens. Sorry if this episode was kind of crazy. I don't know if I'm going to do those live streams anymore. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of just feel better just sitting here just like talking to you guys with no camera on me, and I could just like, because if I can just like look over and watch the fight, I feel weird if I'm streaming and I'm looking over just watching fights, because I don't know if I'm getting caught up in just wanting to talk about it. I feel weird. But I'm going to give you guys the social medias and get up out of here. If you want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, it's at my name's Jermaine. If you want to email the podcast, it's Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to the podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, nigga, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. And if you guys got Xbox One, you want to play some video games with me, you can go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. You can check out the merch at teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And you guys can go ahead and head to twitch.tv/Babylon5 and watch me play some games and chat with me a little bit. Why not? Chat with me. All right. This is episode 34, Expendable Workers. Probably not going to do the live shit like that no more. I think maybe not recording an episode. Maybe if I go live, I'll try to just do a live talking. Just talk to people and maybe do some music. But yeah, that'll be about it. But anywho, you guys have been great. It's episode 34. Thanks for listening. And see you guys next week. Please stay healthy. Yeah, have a great one. Peace.